My beloved child, hear me in the deep stillness of your soul. For I am not calling you to step away from life, like a fearful one who wants to hide from the collisions of the world. I am calling you to step into life, with eyes that have been washed clean, with a heart that has been softened, with a soul that knows every place where your feet are planted can become holy if you carry my presence into it. You were not created to flee from reality, but to let the light of heaven seep into that reality. Through the way you love, the way you endure, the way you forgive, the way you stand firm amid what is not yet complete. As it is written, you are the light of the world. Matthew 5:14. A light is not lit to be hidden under a basket, but to be set on a lampstand, so that it may give light to the whole house. Therefore, do not think that your ordinary life is a place lacking holiness. The very place where you wake each morning, where you face small responsibilities, where you keep your heart pure amid the noise, where you choose peace instead of a hurried reaction. That is the quiet altar where I am meeting you. I am not far from your life. I am in every breath that is offered up in trust. There have been seasons when you thought I was hidden, as though heaven had fallen silent and the earth had become too heavy. You wondered whether I was truly present in the days when you could feel nothing, in the nights when you prayed, yet your heart remained empty, on the roads you walked without seeing any clear sign. But today I gently lift that mist from you. I do not want you to keep living by the fragile question, perhaps he is here. I want you to step into the holy certainty, he has always been here. For I have spoken, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:95. That word is not only for the days when you are strong, it is also for the moments when you tremble. It is not only for when you hear my voice clearly. It is also for when you have only enough strength left to breathe out a small cry. I have never left you in the silences. I was there. Not like thunder that startles you, but like a quiet warmth keeping your heart from going out. So be still a little longer in my arms. Do not rise too quickly to define yourself again by old conclusions. Do not call yourself delayed, for I call you one who is being prepared. Do not call yourself lost, for I call you one who is being led through a deeper path. Do not call the days you could not understand wasted, for in my eyes, not one of your tears falls without being remembered. As David said, you count my wanderings, put my tears into your bottle. Psalm 50:16-8. Do you see? Even the pain that seemed invisible was not taken lightly by me. What you call going in circles may sometimes be the way I kept you from a door whose hour had not yet come. The places you thought were delays may have been the holy chamber where I refined your heart, so that when the new season opens, you will not enter it in haste, but in maturity. I want you to remember Samuel in the temple when he was still a child. That night the call sounded forth, while everyone thought only silence covered the holy place. Samuel did not recognize my voice at first. He ran to Eli because he thought a man was calling him, but I patiently called again and then again until he learned to answer, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3:10. My child, there are times when you are like Samuel. You have heard stirrings in your soul without knowing what to name them. You have sensed that something was awakening you. Yet you look for an explanation in other people, in circumstances, in your own weary mind. But I do not blame you for not recognizing it immediately. I am a patient Father. I call again, I repeat, I draw nearer. and at the appointed time, your ears will open, your heart will understand, and you will know that this call did not begin today. It has been quietly walking with you for a long time. From that recognition, you will no longer live as you did before. Not because you are trying to paint a new self with your own strength, but because the true nature I placed within you is beginning to awaken. When you know that I have always been with you, your words will be less stained with anxiety. When you know that I am guiding you, your steps will no longer be frantic like one who has been left behind. When you know that you are loved before you accomplish anything great, you will no longer try to prove your worth through exhausting efforts. As it is written, "For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God." Ephesians 2:8. You do not become precious because you have gone far enough. You are precious because you belong to me. And that very belonging will change the way you see the world, the way you face trials, and the way you cherish the small things before you. Perhaps you still do not fully understand why the roads behind you were so winding. Perhaps you still regret a few doors that closed, still wonder about choices that once caused you pain, still ask yourself whether those clumsy steps led you far from my intention. But I say to you, when you place your life in my hands, even the broken pieces are no longer meaningless. I can weave what was tangled into a new garment. I can turn the place where you once stumbled into the very place where you learned mercy. I can use the road you did not want to take to bring you into a maturity you could never have received by the easier path. All things work together for good to those who love God. Romans 8:28. That word does not mean everything is gentle, but it does mean that nothing entrusted to me remains abandoned in chaos. I do not only save you from what was wrong, I also rescue meaning from what you thought had been ruined. And now you are drawing near to a moment when heaven and your soul will no longer feel to you like two distant realms. Not because I have only just come near, but because your eyes are opening to recognize the nearness that was already there. Just as Jacob after his dream at Bethel cried out, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." Genesis 28:16. You too will look back at places that once seemed ordinary, lonely, and difficult to understand, and suddenly realize that my footprints were there. Your stone pillow was once hard, but I turned it into a place of revelation. Your night was once long, but I raised an invisible ladder between heaven and earth. Your life is not separated from me, it is being saturated by me. Therefore, beloved child, continue walking with a new gentleness. Do not force yourself to understand everything in a single day. Do not grow impatient and demand to see the whole map when I have given you only enough light for the next step. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:1-5. That lamp does not always illuminate the entire horizon, but it is enough to keep you from losing your way in the present step. Live today as one who knows you are being held. Speak today as one who knows your words can carry peace. Love today as one who knows even a small love can become a holy stream. I am not calling you to become someone foreign to yourself. I am calling you to return to the true self I placed within you from the beginning. A soul that is loved, guided, awakened, and sent into life, so that life may be brightened by my presence. My beloved child, let your heart become still and hear this with the deepest part of your soul. I never allow anything in your life to pass by in vain. the days you understand, and the days you do not understand, the seasons when you walk in clear light, and the roads where you see only a veil of mist before your eyes. All of these can become material in my hands. You see disorder, but I see arrangement. You feel pressure, but I am seeing a new shape being formed. You think certain things are slowing you down, but I am using those very things to realign the foundation within you, so that your life will no longer be built on old habits, old fears, old reactions, or the definitions that the past once placed upon you. As it is written, the Lord will perfect that which concerns me. Psalm 138:8. I do not begin a work within you, and then leave it unfinished halfway. What I began in you by grace, I will continue by wisdom, and complete by my faithful love. There are times when you wonder why your soul has become more sensitive than before. Why even a small word touches you deeply. Why even a silence makes you think. Why even a choice that seems ordinary causes you to feel that something needs to be discerned. Do not fear that sensitivity. It is not a sign that you are weaker, but evidence that you are more awake. When I awaken your soul, I do not merely move you emotionally for a moment. I rearrange the way you see, the way you hear, the way you respond, and the way you walk. What you once overlooked, you now recognize. What you once accepted because it was familiar, you now begin to weigh under my light. What you once called normal, you now see no longer fits the new person I am forming within you. As it is written, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may discern what is the good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. Romans 12:2. That renewal is not merely a change of thought on the surface. It is an inner re-establishment, where I teach you no longer to live by momentum, but by illumination. Beloved child, I know this process sometimes confuses you. When what was once familiar no longer brings peace. When the places you once leaned on no longer have enough strength to hold you. When old patterns begin to crack, you may think you are losing yourself. But I say to you, you are not losing your true being. You are only leaving behind garments that no longer belong to you. There are things you have carried for so long that you thought they were you. But in truth, they were only the traces of seasons lived in self-defense. There are reactions you have repeated so many times that you thought they were your personality. But in truth, they were the way your soul once tried to protect itself before it knew how to rest in me. Now, as I draw nearer in your awareness, I am not destroying you. I am freeing you from distorted forms, so that the original thing I placed within you may appear in purity. Remember Jeremiah, when I led him to the potter's house. He saw the vessel being shaped on the wheel, and when it was not yet right, according to the potter's intention, the potter did not throw the clay away as something worthless. He reshaped it into another vessel, according to what seemed good to him. I declared, as the clay is in the hand of the potter, so are you in my hand. Jeremiah 18:6. Do you see, my child, when I reshape you, it is not abandonment, it is care. When I turn you, it is not because I am disappointed. It is because I see a deeper beauty that you have not yet seen. When a certain pressure presses upon your soul, it is not always punishment. Many times, it is the holy hand making you steadier, more balanced, and greater in capacity for what I am about to pour into your life. In this season, I am bringing you into an awakening that has order, one that is not chaotic, not showy, not merely an emotion that rises and then fades away. I am awakening you with the structure of heaven, This means that within you, old foundations are being examined, old motives are being brought into the light, and habits that no longer produce life are being separated from you gently yet decisively. You will no longer only ask, "Is this wrong?" but you will begin to ask, "Does this draw me closer to me?" You will not only ask, "Can I do this?" but you will ask, "Does this align with the peace I am placing within you?" That is the sign of maturity. As your soul grows, you no longer live merely to avoid stumbling. You live to move in harmony with holiness, to choose what is purer, deeper, and more enduring. And I want you to understand that this change is not always loud. There are miracles that happen, like the Red Sea parting in two, but there are also miracles that take place like a seed cracking open beneath the soil so quietly that no one hears it, yet so powerfully that an entire tree can begin from there. You are in that kind of miracle. I am not only changing the circumstances around you, I am changing your capacity to receive. I am not only opening an outward door, I am opening an inward room. I am not only giving you an answer, I am making you into someone who can carry that answer without losing humility. As it is written, "If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new." 2 Corinthians 5:17. That newness is not merely a change of scenery, but a change in the very nature of the flow within you. Perhaps you will notice that you no longer react the way you once did. Something that once made you angry now only causes you to become still and pray. Something that once made you panic now becomes an invitation for you to trust more deeply. Someone who once could pull you back into an old cycle can no longer do so in the same way, because now you are beginning to recognize the necessary boundaries that keep your heart in peace. Do not take those small changes lightly. In my eyes, they are signs of a soul being realigned to the rhythm of heaven. When you no longer answer from your wound, but from wisdom, when you no longer rush to judge, but know how to pause and listen, when you no longer define yourself by what happened, but by the word I have spoken over you, that is when my work is being revealed. I also want you to remember that you are my workmanship, not a life left behind to manage itself amid the confusion of the world. We are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. Ephesians 20:10. That workmanship was not created carelessly. I did not make you in haste. I did not write your life with a careless stroke. There is a deeper design at work, an eternal intention upholding you, even when you do not yet understand it all. Therefore, do not hate the process that is shaping you. Do not despise the season in which you feel everything within you being rearranged. A house that is to stand firm against great winds must have its foundation strengthened in places human eyes cannot see. In the same way, what I am doing deep within you today will become endurance for tomorrow. So, my beloved child, when you notice that you are no longer the same as before, do not be quick to grieve, smile in faith, for it is a sign that you are becoming. You are stepping out of old reactions to put on new maturity. You are leaving behind life governed by instinct and entering into life led by the Holy Spirit. You are learning to distinguish between noise and guidance, between pressure and calling, between what is familiar and what truly belongs to me. Let me continue to shape you. Let me continue to realign the hidden places. Let me rewrite the inner structure of your being by grace, for I do not break you in order to abandon you. I touch you in order to restore you, reestablish you, and make you into a precious vessel, able to contain my new oil in the new season that is coming. My beloved child, let your heart settle down in my presence, for there are things I am doing within you that cannot be understood through the haste of the mind, but can only be recognized by a soul that knows how to rest. Many times you have looked at the deep movements within yourself and wondered whether something was falling apart, whether some part of you was disappearing, whether those quiet stirrings were a sign of instability. But I speak to you with the gentleness of a father. Nothing that belongs to your true purpose is being taken away. What is being shaken is only the outer layers that once covered you. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus, it is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. What is being dismantled is only the structure that no longer has the strength to uphold you in the new season. What is leaving you is not the being I created, but the fears, the habits, the defenses, and the false definitions that clung to you in the seasons when you did not yet know how deeply you were loved. As it is written, the things that can be shaken will be removed, so that the things which cannot be shaken may remain. Hebrews 12:27. Therefore, when you feel something moving within you, do not be quick to call it loss. Recognize that I am preserving what cannot be shaken in you. I want you to understand that my rebuilding is not like the destruction of the world. The world breaks in order to discard, but I dismantle in order to restore. The world causes things to collapse and then abandons them, but I touch the foundation in order to build again a dwelling place worthy of the light. You are not being broken so that you may fall. You are being reshaped so that you may stand more firmly. You are not being pulled away from the path. You are being repositioned into the very orbit that grace has prepared. You are not being made to stagger so that you lose direction. You are being separated from temporary foundations so that your feet may be set upon the rock that never changes. He set my feet upon a rock and made my steps secure. Psalm 14:2. That is what I am doing for you. I am bringing you out of the merry place of tangled thoughts, not with cold force, but with a patient hand, lifting you little by little, until you realize that true peace does not come from everything standing still, but from knowing that you are being held by me amid every movement. There are times when you want to step back, because what I am awakening within you is too deep, too real, too different from what you have known. You wonder whether this feeling is only a wave of the mind, a soft moment of the motion, a passing sensitivity that will fade away. But I speak to you. Do not despise the call that is resounding in the deepest place. You did not create this awakening by imagination. You did not kindle this fire by your own strength. I am the one who called your name before you knew how to name yourself. I am the one who saw you before your eyes opened to the world, as I spoke to Jeremiah. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you before you came out of the womb. I set you apart. Jeremiah 105. That word does not grow old with the years, does not weaken because of the times you have doubted, and is not erased by the days when you feel small. What I have spoken over you still stands firm. For my mouth does not speak useless words. Remember Gideon when he was threshing wheat in the wine press, because he feared the enemy. In his own eyes, he saw only weakness, hiding, and inadequacy, but my angel came and called him by a name that exceeded his present circumstances. The Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Judges 6:12. Do you see, my child? I did not call Gideon according to the place where he was hiding, but according to what I had placed within him. I did not define him by the fear surrounding him, but by the strength that would be awakened when he believed my word more than his own feelings. So it is with you. Perhaps you are seeing the parts within you that still tremble, but I am calling by name the courage that has been sown in you. Perhaps you feel that you are not yet ready, but I see a vessel being prepared to carry new oil. Perhaps you feel shaken, but I see a foundation being cleansed so that it can bear the weight of glory. Therefore, do not resist everything that is touching you from within. I am not telling you to neglect discernment, nor am I telling you to chase after every emotion that rises. I am teaching you to listen with holy wakefulness. There is a wavering that comes from fear, but there is also a trembling that comes from the Holy Spirit. When He gently touches the door of your soul, there is an unrest that comes from carrying what I did not give you, but there is also a holy stirring when I call you out of an old form and into a deeper obedience. Therefore, bring everything before me in stillness, and let my light divide and discern. The peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4:7. My peace does not always mean that every question disappears immediately. Sometimes peace is the quiet certainty that you do not need to rescue yourself from the process I am using to make you whole. When I reorder your inner life, I am not merely moving a few thoughts into different places. I am bringing the order of heaven into the place that was once governed by chaos, memories that once stood in the wrong place. I bring them back under the authority of mercy, fears that once sat upon the throne. I bring them down beneath the feet of promise, dreams that were once buried beneath weariness. I breathe life into them, according to my timing, abilities that were once locked away because of wounds. I open through healing just as I once spoke through Ezekiel to the valley of dry bones. O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Ezekiel 30:74. And the scattered bones were joined together. Sinews and flesh came upon them, and breath returned. So I also know how to call the parts within you that seemed scattered back into the order of life. My child, I do not look at you as a hopeless valley. I look at you as an army waiting for my breath. And as you begin to walk in this new awareness, you will find that you no longer need to cling to old ways in order to feel safe. Before, you may have tried to control everything so you would not be afraid. Now I am teaching you to trust. Before, you may have tried to explain every feeling so you would not be confused. Now I am teaching you to rest in my leading. Before, you may have thought that if everything within you trembled, it meant you were about to collapse. Now you will understand. There are tremblings that do not come to destroy you, but to awaken you. A seed also breaks open in the soil before it sends forth a sprout. The dawn also gently tears through the darkness before a new day appears. A boat also trembles when it leaves the old shore and enters deeper waters. Therefore, do not mourn the old form simply because it was familiar. What is familiar is not always what I have appointed. Sometimes what you call stability is only delay covered by habit. I am the one who begins, and I am also the one who completes. I do not bring you into the middle of the work and then leave you to measure. Repair only die, and finish yourself with your own trembling hands. He who began a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. Let that word become an anchor for your soul. When you do not know what is happening, remember I know. When you cannot see the final shape, remember I am forming. When you grow weary from the deep movements within, remember my hand is not harsh, not hurried, and not mistaken. People, I am not making you into a copy of someone else. I am completing within you what I myself have sown, according to the pattern that belongs to you, according to the calling appointed for you, according to the beauty that only your life can reflect, when it is placed rightly in my light. Then a day will come when you look back and understand what still confuses you today. You will see that the tremblings that once made you anxious were not warnings of collapse, but the rhythm of my quiet work. You will recognize that some closed doors were not meant to imprison you, but to keep you from walking in the wrong direction. Some delays were not meant to make you lose ground, but to position you more precisely. Some feelings of instability were not meant to rob you of peace, but to keep you from compromising with anything less than the life I have prepared for you. When I complete my work, you will not only see the outward result, you will recognize a new order within your heart, a steadfastness that does not need to display itself, a peace that does not depend on applause, and a faith that is not easily shaken by temporary storms. Therefore, my beloved child, stop resisting in fear and begin cooperating in faith, and trust to me the things you do not yet understand. Place before me the emotions you have not yet been able to name. Let me touch the places you still want to hide, not to shame you, but to heal and reorder them. You are not disappearing. You are being revealed. You are not falling apart. You are being built with stronger materials. You are not drifting away from yourself. You are being brought closer to the person I have known from the beginning. Stand still and trust, for I am with you in every movement. And when all things come into my proper order, the glory you once feared, you were not strong enough to carry, will not crush you, but will rest upon you gently, because I myself have made you steady enough to receive it. My beloved child, I hear the hidden question you have not yet spoken aloud. I hear your heart asking in the quiet hours, why now? Why not earlier? Why? After so many seasons of waiting, after so many roads that seem to have no answer, are things only now beginning to move? And I do not answer you according to the hurried measure of man, nor do I explain in the way the mind wants to grasp every detail. I answer you according to the rhythm of heaven, according to the wisdom that is higher than the schedule of earth, because the season has reached its appointed time. There are things that, if revealed too soon, would break beneath their own weight. There are doors that if opened before their time, would cause the one who enters to lack the roots needed to stand firm. There are promises that must be nurtured in silence, so that when they emerge, they are not merely a beautiful moment, but a lasting establishment. As it is written, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:91. You were not forgotten in the waiting. You were grown within it. I know that the years of silence sometimes made you think you were only standing still. You saw little outward result, so you thought that inwardly there was nothing significant happening either. But my child, the roots of a tree do not grow before the eyes of passers-by. They go down quietly, seeking water, gripping the soil, learning endurance in the dark. No one applauds the roots. No one hangs a wreath upon what is hidden beneath the ground. But it is the roots that determine whether the tree can stand when the wind comes. The seasons when you prayed and did not yet see an answer. The times when you kept your heart upright, though no one praised you. The days when you chose to believe, even when your emotions wanted to give up. All of these did not vanish into emptiness. I gathered them like streams of life nourishing a holy tree. Therefore, when the wind begins to blow, I am not worried that you will be uprooted. I have allowed you to grow deep in places human eyes cannot see, where only I know how your faithfulness has been woven into the soil. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season. Its leaf also shall not wither. Psalm 103. This is not merely a beautiful image. It is the word I am writing upon your process. Now it is no longer only a season of sowing in secret as before. What was placed down in tears is beginning to find its way upward into the light. What was once only a promise within your heart is slowly taking on form. What you once had to hold by faith is now beginning to require you to walk in obedience. But do not misunderstand this, rising as an invitation to chase after display. I am not lifting you up, so that you may lose the humility that was refined in the hidden place. I am not bringing you out of darkness merely, so that you may seek the gaze of people. I am calling you forth, because the light I placed within you was not created to remain forever covered. As it is written, arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 60:1. That light does not come from you as its source, but passes through you as a vessel that has been prepared. Beloved child, I do not call you merely to believe in your heart and then remain forever still within the place of safety. True faith is not only a refuge, it is also feet that are sent forth. I have comforted you not so that you would keep that comfort only for yourself, but so that through you others may see that the night has no right to reign forever. I have healed you not so that you would only remember that you once suffered, but so that your healed wound may become a window through which my mercy shines. I have taught you to stand firm in silence, not so that you would love the darkness, but so that when dawn comes, you will not be overwhelmed by the light. You are not merely one standing on the edge, watching my movement. You are part of that movement. You are a small but true sign of the new day drawing near. Remember Esther, the young woman placed in the palace at a time she herself did not fully understand. She did not step into that position merely because of outward beauty or because of a coincidence of circumstances. Behind every detail that seemed ordinary, I was arranging a way of deliverance for my people. When danger arose, Mordecai said to her, Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Do you see, my child? There are positions that are not rewards for rest, but assignments to rise at the right time. There are seasons when I place you where you never thought you would stand, not to test you with harshness, but to reveal that everything I have long prepared within you now has a place to be used. Just as Esther had to step through fear in order to carry her mission, you too are being invited to step beyond your own smallness and believe that I have not placed you here by accident. Therefore, when the call resounds within you, do not quickly shrink back because you think you are not enough. You are not sent because you are perfect. You are sent because I am faithful. You are not chosen because you no longer tremble. You are chosen because even in that trembling, you can still place your hand in mine. When Isaiah stood in the temple and heard the voice saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" he did not answer from a proud heart, but from a soul that had been touched, cleansed, and set again before holiness. He said, "Here am I, send me." Isaiah 6:8. So it is with you. Your answer does not need to come from the confidence of the flesh, but from surrender in faith. You do not say, "Send me," because you know every road ahead. You say it because you know who the one sending you is. I have led you through seasons of sowing, so that your roots would learn to seek the water. I have led you through seasons of silence, so that your ears would learn to distinguish my voice amid the noise. I have led you through seasons of being hidden, so that your heart would not depend on recognition. I have led you through seasons of waiting, so that the strength within you would no longer be impulse, but sanctified endurance. Now, as the season of rising draws near, these things will no longer lie scattered, like fragments of memories that are hard to understand. They will come together as preparation. You will look back and see that I never wasted a single road. Even where you thought there was delay, I was laying a foundation. Even where you thought there was silence, I was training your ear. Even where you thought you were alone, I was deepening the communion between you and me. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. However, my child, when I call you to step out, remember to carry with you the softness of the hidden place. Do not let the season of manifestation cause you to forget the season in which you were shaped. Do not let praise make you forget my voice. Do not let outward results draw you away from the inward stream. A tree planted by the water does not flourish because many people see it, but because it is continually nourished by an unfailing source. If you remain in me, the fruit will come in its proper season. If you keep listening to me, your steps will be led on the right path. If you keep your heart humble, glory will not become a weight upon you, but a mantle of service. As the Lord has spoken, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. John 15:5. What you need most is not to strive to produce fruit by yourself, but to remain in the source of my life. Therefore, do not ask why now out of fear anymore. Ask it with holy reverence and a willing heart. For now is not a surprise to me. Now is the time when the roots have grown deep enough, the heart has become soft enough, the eyes have become clear enough, and the feet have learned the rhythm of obedience. Now is the time when what was silent begins to have a voice. Now is the time when the seed pushes through the soil and rises. Now is the time when you no longer keep faith only for yourself, but allow that faith to become a lamp for those who are feeling their way through the night. I am not calling you out so that you may carry the burden by your own strength. I am calling you out so that you may carry my presence. Rise, my beloved child, not in haste, but in steadiness. Step out not to prove who you are, but to reveal who I am. And as you go, remember I have gone before you. I go with you. And I will make every obedient step of yours a sign of the dawn that is coming upon the places still covered in darkness. My beloved child, hear me with a heart that no longer panics before the fire. For not every fire comes to consume. There are fires of destruction, but there is also the fire of sanctification. There is a heat that turns what is false into ashes, yet causes what is precious to become brighter, truer, and more refined. When I allow you to pass through deep collisions within your soul, when I let certain old things be exposed beneath the light, when I touch the places you once hid, because you feared the pain, this is not a sign that I am rejecting you, but a sign that I have chosen you for a pure reflection. Gold does not fear the furnace, because it knows the fire cannot take away the nature of gold. The fire only separates the gold from what is not gold. In the same way, what truly belongs to you and me will not be lost through this process. It will be preserved, purified, and lifted out of mixture, so that the light within you will no longer be dimmed by fear, by wounds, by people pleasing, or by the definitions the world once placed upon you. As it is written, he will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. Malachi 3:3. I do not stand far away, watching you endure the fire alone. I sit near, attentive and patient, keeping the temperature of grace exactly right, so that nothing precious within you will be harmed. There are things slipping from your hands, and I know that this leaves you feeling unsettled. You have become so accustomed to certain burdens. When they begin to fall away, you think you are losing a part of yourself. You have grown used to protecting yourself through control, used to measuring your worth by results, used to holding on to ties that no longer produce life, used to walking with the old garments of anxiety, misplaced responsibility, and nameless fear. But I say to you, do not hold on to everything simply because it was once familiar. Not everything that has remained for a long time truly belongs to you. Not every garment you once wore was sewn for you by me. There are things that only followed you for a season, because you were not yet free enough to let them go. But now, as I make you new in Christ, the things that no longer fit your new identity must depart. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. That word is not merely a verse for you to read when your heart is weak. It is a river flowing through your process even now. I am not making you smaller, my child. I am not taking things from you in order to make your life poorer. I am only removing what keeps you from walking lightly after me. I am lifting from your shoulders burdens you thought were duties, but in truth were chains. I am loosening from your heart attachments you thought were love, but in truth, or fear of being abandoned. I am separating from your light the layers of dust left by disappointment, so that you will no longer reflect me with a divided heart. When a vessel is washed clean, it is not because it is useless, but because it is about to be filled. When a lamp is wiped clear, it is not because its light has lost value, but because the master of the house wants it to shine more clearly in the night. So it is with you. I am cleansing your vessel, clarifying your glass, and refining the flame within you, so that what passes through your life will no longer be colored by old wounds, but will carry the fragrance of life. Remember Daniel and his 3 friends when they were taken into a foreign land, where everything around them sought to change their names, their appetite, their habits, and their loyalty. They were placed in an environment that did not belong to the covenant, but they did not allow that environment to defile what was holy within their hearts. Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself. Daniel 1:9-8, and that decision was not loud, not showy, but a holy boundary between what belonged to me and what merely belonged to the system of man. Do you see, my child? Refinement does not only happen in the outward furnace. It begins with a hidden decision in the heart. You will no longer allow what does not belong to me to shape you. When Daniel's 3 friends were thrown into the blazing furnace, the fire did not consume them. It only burned away the ropes that bound them, and in the midst of that fire, there was a 4th one walking with them. Daniel 3:25. That is also what I am doing for you. There are fires you pass through, not to kill your calling, but to burn away the bonds that kept you from walking freely. Therefore, do not call every shaking instability. There are shakings that are the dismantling work of grace. There are losses that are liberation clothed in pain for a brief moment. There are empty spaces appearing not to make you lonely, but so that I may place within them what is more right, more pure, and more fitting for your new life. When I awaken a soul, I do not do so randomly. Not one breath I touch lies outside my intention. You are not only seen by me so that you may be comforted. You are seen by me so that you may take part. You are not only healed so that you may be at ease. You are healed so that you may become a living sign of my light. As Peter wrote, the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, glory, and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. 1 Peter 1:7. Faith that is tested is not faith that has been abandoned, but faith that is being proven in the depths. Perhaps you once thought that if I loved you, I would keep you from every pressure. But my love is deeper than merely making you comfortable. I love you enough not to let you live forever within narrow patterns. I love you enough to touch the places you want to avoid. I love you enough not to allow counterfeit things to keep wearing the disguise of peace. I love you enough to call you out of the places where you have grown used to hiding. Yet where you are no longer growing, I never do this with harshness. I do it with the gentleness of the one who knows exactly how much you can bear, who knows when to touch, when to wait, when to lift, and when to let you rest in my arms. A bruised reed he will not break, and a dimly burning wick he will not quench. Isaiah 42:3. Therefore, when I refine you, I do not crush you. I protect the true flame, within you from being extinguished by the smoke of things that no longer belong to me. Now, let the things that need to leave depart in peace. Do not run after them to pick up chains again simply because they were once familiar around your wrists. Do not beg me to restore what I am mercifully removing from you. Do not call temporary emptiness failure, for many times it is holy space where I am arranging something new. When I renew you, I do not only add, I also purify. When I give new oil, I also prepare a new wineskin. When I desire your light to shine more clearly, I also wipe away the coverings that have weakened that light. As the Lord has spoken, no one puts new wine into old wineskins. Luke 5:37. Because what is new requires a renewed structure, an enlarged heart, and a softness that does not resist my hand. My beloved child, what you are going through is not a series of meaningless changes. It is the holy process of a life called to reflect me more clearly. I am bringing you out of mixture into purity, out of noise into discernment, out of defensive instinct into trust, out of mingled light into the humble radiance of a soul that belongs to me. You do not need to be afraid when I touch the hidden places. Open your hands. Let what does not belong to you fall away. Let what is true remain. Let the fire do its work under the authority of my love. Then you will see that after this furnace, you do not come out weaker, but brighter, not harder, but pure, not farther from me, but nearer to me. And when others look at your life, they will not only see someone who has endured trial, but they will see my light reflected through a vessel that has been cleansed, chosen, sent forth, and kept in the hand that will never let you go. My beloved child, quiet your heart and hear me speak with the clarity of love. For I did not save you merely so that you would survive the storms and then sit still in a small corner of peace. The peace I give you is not a refuge for you to hide from life forever, but a foundation upon which you may rise in the authority of grace. You were not created to bow your head before fear, like one dragged along by fate. You were created to walk as one who knows you belong to me, who is called by me, kept by me, and sent by me into the world as a sign of life. As it is written, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Romans 8:37. Do you see? I do not call you more than a conqueror, so that you may become proud. Clothe yourself in false strength, or look at others with a spirit of comparison. I call you this so that you may know the reign of fear has lost its authority over your soul. What once made you tremble is no longer permitted to sit upon the throne of your heart, for that throne belongs to me. Therefore, when I separate from you the things that no longer belong to your new identity, do not think that I am doubting you. No, my beloved child, I refine you because I know that what I have placed within you is precious. I remove the dim layers covering the light, not because that light is weak, but because I want it to shine forth in greater purity. I strip away from you old habits, reactions born from wounds, small self, definitions, and attachments that cause you to forget you are a child of the King, not to make you poorer, but so that you will no longer carry burdens unworthy of the royal grace that has been given to you. One who has been clothed in a new garment cannot keep clinging to the torn garment of a painful season. One who has been placed in the Father's house does not need to continue living like someone outside in the courtyard. As it is written, He has called you out of darkness into His marvelous light. 1 Peter 2:9. That light is not only for you to see the way, but also for you to become a witness to the one who has opened the way. I know there are times when you look for my signs in very great things, in resounding events, in sounds that make the whole world pay attention. But my child, in this hour I am teaching you a deeper kind of recognition. My power does not always come with thunderous noise. Sometimes I come like the dawn, not shaking the sky, but quietly pushing back the darkness. Sometimes I come like a warm breath upon a dimly burning lamp, making no noise, yet enough to keep the flame from going out. Sometimes I come in a moment, when you suddenly pause in the midst of your concerns and realize that your heart has been touched by a peace that reason cannot explain. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That word is not merely an invitation for you to rest for a few minutes. It is a doorway leading you into a new level of knowing, where you no longer need great noise in order to believe that I am present. Remember Elijah on Mount Horeb. He saw a great wind tearing through the mountains and breaking the rocks apart. He saw an earthquake. He saw fire. But I was not in those things in the way he expected. Then after the fire came a gentle, quiet whisper, and it was in that stillness that he recognized my presence. 1 Kings 19:11-13. Beloved child, that story is for you in this hour. Perhaps you have passed through the winds of upheaval, the earthquakes of the mind, and the furnaces of trial, and you thought that only in those intense things did I speak. But I am calling you to learn to hear my voice in gentleness. I am training the inner ear of your soul to recognize me, not only when everything is shaking, but also when everything becomes still. For one who is mature in the Holy Spirit does not only know how to cry out in the storm, but also how to listen when the waters are calm. In that silence, I am opening a sacred hour between heaven and your soul. It is not an ordinary moment, even though outwardly no one may notice. It is the point of intersection, where what I wrote from before the beginning begins to touch your steps today. There are promises that once seemed far away like stars in the night, but now they begin to descend closer to your life, like light upon the path. There are things you once only heard by faith, but now they are beginning to become an operation within the way you think. Choose, speak love, and stand firm. The distance between the word I have spoken and the life you are living is no longer as far as before. Fulfillment does not always come like a door, suddenly thrown open in a single day. Many times it comes like an underground stream, rising little by little until the whole dry land knows that the spring has been opened. I am bringing you into a place where you will not only hear about destiny, but begin to walk in destiny. This does not mean everything will become easy immediately, but it does mean you will no longer walk like one without direction. You will begin to sense my leading more clearly in each decision. You will know when to speak and when to remain silent. You will know when to move forward and when to wait. You will learn to distinguish between a door opened by impatience and a door placed before you by my hand. As it is written, your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Isaiah 37:21. That voice does not pressure you with fear, but guides you with peace. It does not throw you into confusion, but sets your soul into the rhythm of heaven. Therefore, do not resist the refinement that is taking place. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. You cannot carry the authority of grace while still allowing fear to govern every reaction. You cannot walk in royal identity while still allowing old words to determine your worth. You cannot become a sign of the dawn while still loving the darkness that once held you captive. I am not demanding that you cleanse yourself by your own strength. I am only inviting you to open your heart so that I may complete my work. Like a silversmith, carefully watching the metal in the furnace until he sees his own image reflected in it, I am also looking into you with patient love. When mixtures leave you, when false things are separated, when desires that do not belong to me gradually lose their power, I do not see you as smaller. I see my image in you more clearly. Perhaps you will feel a few empty spaces when the old things depart. But do not rush to fill those spaces with what is familiar. Let me fill them with my presence. There are empty spaces that are holy, because they have just been freed from what once occupied the wrong place. There are silences that are holy, because they are preparing for a new word to be sown. There are seasons when you think you no longer have much to hold on to. But in truth, I am teaching you to hold on to the one thing that can never be taken away, myself. The Lord is my portion and my cup. Psalm 16:5. When I become your portion, you are no longer poor, even if certain things leave your hands. When I become your cup, your soul is no longer dry, even if your circumstances are not yet complete. And now I want you to stand in gentle wakefulness. Do not be hasty, but do not draw back. Do not be noisy, but do not fall asleep. Do not become proud because you are called, but do not lower yourself beneath what I have spoken over you. You are saved by grace, made new in love, and given authority not to dominate people, but to rule over fear, doubt, chaos, and every darkness that once sought to occupy your soul. Walk as one who knows you are covered. Speak as one who knows your words can sow life. Be silent as one who knows that my voice can be found within stillness. Act as one who knows you are no longer standing outside the promise, but are entering the place where the promise begins to take shape in daily life. My beloved child, the hour now opening is not meant to overwhelm you, but to bring you into deeper union with my intention. What was written from eternity is touching your today. What I once sown in the hidden place is finding its way to bloom in the light. What you once prayed with tears is beginning to become a path beneath your feet. Therefore, be still and know that I am God, and from that stillness rise, not rising in your own strength, but in grace, not walking to prove yourself, but to obey, not carrying authority as a crown of pride, but as a seal of belonging, for I have saved you, called you, refined you. And now I am placing you at the sacred intersection, where the word I have spoken and the life you live begin to become one in my light. My beloved child, when the old things begin to leave your life, do not quickly tremble before the emptiness that remains. I know your heart has the habit of wanting to grasp something, wanting to find a familiar sound, a familiar assurance, a familiar way of control to reassure yourself that you are still all right. But there are seasons when the very emptiness is the holy room I am preparing for a deeper presence. Not every empty space is a sign of loss. Some empty spaces are evidence that what was in the wrong place has just been removed. Not every silence is abandonment. Some silences are soft soil where my word can be sown and take root. Therefore, when you see certain things falling from your hands, do not quickly pick them up again simply because they were once familiar. Let your hand open. For a hand still tightly gripping the past will find it difficult to receive what I am giving in the present. I want you to understand this in peace when I take away what no longer belongs to you. I am not making you poor. I am freeing you from the substitutes your soul once clung to, because it had not yet realized how near I truly am. There were concerns that once occupied space in your heart like chairs placed wrongly in the temple. There were anxieties that once sat upon the throne, where only I should reign. There were desires, plans, recognition, the voices of others, and even old memories that had become places where you searched for your identity. But I say to you, your soul was not created to be a storehouse for temporary things. Your soul was created to be my dwelling place. Do you not know that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? 1 Corinthians 3:16. Therefore, when I cleanse the inside of you, it is not deprivation but sanctification. There are empty places in your life that are holy because they have just been freed from what once occupied the wrong position. You once thought busyness was proof of your worth, but I can give you a quiet space to teach you that you are still loved, even when you prove nothing. You once thought someone had to affirm you before you could feel at peace, but I can lead you through a stretch of solitude so you may know that my voice has enough strength to uphold you more than all applause. You once thought that if everything was in your hands, then you would be safe, but I can gently open each of your fingers so you may learn the freedom of one who entrusts. As it is written, commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Psalm 37:5. Surrender does not make you weaker. It places you within my strength. Remember Abraham when I called him out of his homeland, out of the circle of familiarity, out of everything that could have given him a sense of security. I said, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. Genesis 12:1. Do you see? I did not give him the entire map from the beginning. I gave only the promise and my presence. Abraham had to leave what was familiar before stepping into the land of covenant if he had tried to hold on to everything old, because he feared the empty space. He could not have become the father of the promise. So it is with you. There are things I ask you to release, not because I want you to be empty, but because I am opening within you a space wide enough for a greater promise. Therefore, when silence comes, do not fill it with the old noise. Do not call fear simply because you are not yet used to peace. Do not return to former reactions simply because new maturity feels unfamiliar to you. Do not search for another burden to carry simply because your shoulders have grown accustomed to heaviness. There are souls that have been weighed down for so long that when I remove the yoke from them, they feel empty and do not know what to do with lightness. But my child, lightness is not lack. It is the sign that the wrong yoke has been lifted from you. The Lord has spoken. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Matthew 11:30. If what you are carrying continually draws you away from peace, away from life, and away from trust, bring it before me so that I may show you what burden I have given you and what burden you have taken upon yourself because of fear. I am teaching you to hold on to the one thing that can never be taken away. Circumstances may change. People may come and go. Doors may open and close. The things that once made you feel certain may suddenly become fragile, but I do not change. I do not come to you like a temporary guest, in favorable days only to leave when the storm rises. I am your portion, your cup, your unfailing source in every wilderness. The Lord is my portion and my cup. You maintain my lot. Psalm 16:5. When I am your portion, you are no longer poor. Even if certain things fall from your hands, when I am your cup, you are no longer dry. Even if your circumstances are not yet complete, when I am your dwelling place, your soul is no longer homeless. Even if the world changes, beloved child, there are seasons when I do not only add more, but also cleans the vessel. You ask me to pour new wine, but I must also prepare a new wine skin. You ask me to lead you into a spacious place, but I must also teach you to leave the narrow rooms of old habits. You ask me to deepen your faith, but I must also allow false supports to reveal their weakness. This is not to disappoint you, but so that you will not place your hope in what cannot save you. Whom have I in heaven but you, and there is none upon earth that I desire besides you. Psalm 73:725. When this word becomes your breath, you will enter a strange and holy freedom. Freedom not because you have everything, but because you have the one who is everything. And I want you to look at empty space with new eyes. The empty space in your hands may be where I place a seed. The empty space in your schedule may be where I teach you to hear my voice. The empty space left by a relationship that is gone may be where I heal. The part of you that once depended too much, the empty space after a closed door, may be the hallway leading you to a better door. Do not be quick to curse emptiness. Many times what you call nothing left is the very place where I begin to create. In the beginning, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, but my spirit moved upon the waters. Then my word spoke, and light appeared. Genesis 1:2-3. Do you see? I am not afraid of emptiness. I know how to turn emptiness into a beginning. Therefore, remain with me in this silence. Do not run from it. Do not decorate it with old things. Do not borrow chains again simply because you are not yet accustomed to freedom. Let my presence fill the place that was once occupied by anxiety. Let my word resound where self-accusation once filled the air. Let my love dwell in the place where lack once ruled. I am not leaving you empty. I am making you spacious. I am not leaving you alone. I am teaching you deeper communion. I do not remove in order to abandon. I remove so that what belongs to life may have room to blossom. Then you will realize that today's emptiness is not an ending, but a new altar. Where you once feared lack, you will meet my sufficiency. Where you once trembled because of loss, you will know my keeping. Where you once hurried to find something to cling to, you will learn to place your whole soul in the hands of the one who never lets go. Let me fill you in my way, by my rhythm, in my wisdom. For when I become your inheritance, nothing that is lost can define you as poor. And when I become your cup, your soul will drink from the river of living water, until the very place that once felt empty within you becomes a deep, well overflowing with my peace, my light and my life. My beloved child, there are seasons when I do not lead you into the crowd to be celebrated, but into quiet places, so your soul may hear what noise would never allow you to hear. You once thought loneliness was a sign of being left behind. Yet I tell you this, not every empty space is loss. Some spaces are sacred rooms, where I close the door to meet with you alone. When every eye turns away from you, mine remains upon you. When no one fully understands what is happening within you, I still perceive every breath, every tear, every unspoken question. As it is written, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. So do not fear your moments of weakness. It is in the place where you feel weakest that I draw closest. It is where you can no longer find words that I begin to rewrite the deepest things within you through my presence. I know you have longed for a great sign, an immediate open door, a resounding voice that would dissolve all doubt in a single moment. But my beloved, I am not only training you to recognize me in dazzling miracles, I am also teaching you to discern me in stillness, in the breath of peace, in the subtle movements that the natural eye easily overlooks. At times I do not shake the circumstances before you, because first I desire to calm the storm within you. At times I do not answer through a dramatic event, because I am building within you something greater, the capacity to stand firm without needing everything to be made clear at once, and the peace of God which surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4:27. Do you see, my child? The peace I give is not a reward after the storm passes. It is the anchor I set within your soul while the winds are still blowing. Remember Hagar in the wilderness. My beloved, she was driven into a dry place, carrying fear, shame, and the feeling of being unseen. Yet it was in that desert, in the place that seemed most forgotten, that I sent an angel to call her, opened her eyes to see a well nearby, and she gave me a trembling name. You are the God who sees me. Genesis 16:13. That moment did not take place in a palace, nor before a great multitude, nor with trumpets or a throne. It unfolded in barrenness within a soul that believed itself abandoned. So when you find yourself in a quiet and solitary season, do not rush to conclude that you have been forgotten. It may be there that I am opening your eyes to a well you did not perceive before. It may be there that you will learn a new name of mine, not through the testimony of others, but through your own living encounter. Many of the most precious works I do in a person's life do not begin with applause, but with separation. A seed must lie beneath the soil before it can sprout. Gold must pass through fire before it becomes pure. The one I send must learn to listen before speaking. You look at Moses and see a man who parted the sea. But I saw him in the 40 years of wilderness beforehand, where the confidence of Egypt was stripped away, so that dependence on me could be formed. You look at David and see a crown, but I saw the boy in the nights of shepherding singing to me, beneath the sky overcoming lions and bears, when no one was watching. You look at Samuel and see a prophet known by a nation, but I called his name in the stillness of night, when the lamp in the temple had not yet gone out. Therefore, do not despise your hidden place. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. 1 Peter 5:6. True exaltation always has its roots in quiet humility. There are moments when you ask me why you have not yet seen the outcome, why the promise still seems distant. Why your heart must learn patience a little longer. I do not rebuke you for such questions. I am your Father, not a distant stranger, unmoved by your weariness. Yet I want you to understand that delay in my hands is not denial. Many times I hold you back not to cause you pain, but so that what I have placed within you may ripen in its proper season. If fruit is picked before it is ripe, its sweetness will not be complete. If oil has not been fully pressed, its fragrance will not spread. If a vessel has not been properly fired, it will crack when it is asked to hold something greater. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. I am not slow as you once feared. I am perfectly on time, according to a wisdom you have not yet fully seen. Therefore, let your heart become sensitive to my presence. Do not seek me only in loud sounds, in wide open doors, or in movements that draw the attention of others. Learn to find me in the stillness that gently calms you, in the scripture that suddenly comes alive in the midst of an ordinary day, in the quiet strength that keeps you from falling, in the comfort that no one can explain, yet still lifts you forward. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. And that lamp does not always illuminate the entire journey at once. At times it shines only enough for the next step. Yet one step in, my light is safer than 1,000 steps taken in your own haste. I do not require you to understand everything. I invite you to trust me in all things, and the day will come when you look back and realize that your solitary hours were never wasted. The nights you thought held nothing but sighs became altars. The silences you once feared became classrooms of peace. The seasons unnoticed by others became the foundation for what I am about to reveal. You will understand that I was not silent because I was absent. I was silent as a craftsman carefully completing a delicate work. I did not hide you to make you small. I covered you to protect what was holy and forming within you. So, my beloved, be at rest. I see you in the hidden place. I hear you in prayers that never find words. I hold you when you no longer know how to hold yourself. And when the appointed time arrives, what I have quietly nurtured within you will step into the light, not with the display of this world, but with the gentle fragrance of a soul that has truly encountered me in depth. My beloved child, there are days when you look ahead and everything seems veiled in a thin mist. You want me to speak plainly. You want the path to unfold step by step. You long for answers so certain that your heart no longer trembles. But I want you to understand that not every obscurity is a sign of absence. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. Sometimes that very mist is a gentle covering I use to shield your soul from haste. If I revealed everything at once, you might follow clarity instead of following me. If I unfolded the entire journey in a single moment, you might cling to the map rather than take hold of your Father's hand. Therefore, I give you light for the next step, not because I lack power, but because I am teaching you a deeper trust. As it is written, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:7-1. Do you see, my child? True faith does not require everything to be visible before it moves forward. True faith recognizes my voice, even when the path is still hidden behind the mist. At times you may think my silence is a closed door. Yet many times it is a room I am preparing to meet you more intimately. In seasons filled with noise, you can easily confuse my voice with your own desires, mistake excitement for guidance, and interpret outward movement as proof of my love. But when everything slows down, when the bright signs draw back, when nothing remains large enough for you to lean upon, I begin to teach you to discern what endures from what fades. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10 is not an invitation to surrender into passivity, but a call to lay your soul down from the strain of trying to understand everything on your own. I do not love you less on the days I have not yet explained. I am not farther away in the moments when you have not yet heard a clear voice. There are forms of closeness that do not come through sound, but through a quiet peace that softens the weary edges within your heart. Remember the two disciples on the road to Emmaus. My beloved, they walked in disappointment, carrying heavy questions. After what they had hoped for seemed to fall apart, they spoke about me, without recognizing that I was walking beside them. They poured out their sorrow before the one who had the power to heal it. That road did not blaze with light at the beginning. Their understanding did not come all at once. Their eyes were still restrained. Yet I patiently walked with them, opening the scriptures, causing their hearts to burn within them before their eyes were opened. And when the bread was broken, they finally realized that the one they thought absent had been with them all along. So when you pass through days where you do not clearly perceive me, do not rush to conclude that I am not there. It may be that I am walking right beside you, not in the form you expected, but in a faithfulness that does not depart. It may be that your heart is being kindled little by little before your eyes are opened. I know you have grown weary of waiting without the kind of assurance you desire. You have asked why I do not give you a sign strong enough to erase all doubt, why I allow you to stand in the in-between place where the old no longer sustains you and the new has not yet fully appeared. Yet that very in-between is where I form within you a heart that no longer lives under the pressure to control. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3005. This does not mean you must abandon wisdom, but that you must not enthrone your limited understanding. You do not need to master every detail in order to be safe. You only need to remain in my hands. Those hands have carried you through what you once thought you could not survive, and those same hands will hold you through what you do not yet understand today. And when I call you back, my beloved, I am not calling you back to a list of tasks, nor asking you to prove that you are stronger, poorer, or more worthy. I call you back to the simplest truth. You are my child. Before you accomplished anything, I knew you before you presented your achievements. I loved you before you adjusted your outward appearance to meet the expectations of others. I saw the deepest part of you and still called you near. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. I do not say come when you are perfect. Come when you are no longer confused. Come when you have become strong enough, I say. Come with your real heart. Come with empty hands. Come with trembling questions. Come without hiding the places where you are hurting. There are things you think I require that are in truth burdens you learn from the world. The world teaches you to constantly prove your worth, to always appear certain, to present a pleasing image in order to be loved. But in my house, you do not need to perform the role of one who is never weak. I am not offended by your honest tears. I do not turn away from your imperfect prayers. I do not despise a soul that can only say, Father, I do not understand, but I still want to remain with you. That prayer may not be long, yet before me it carries the fragrance of truth. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O God, you will not despise. Psalm 51:17. What I seek is not a flawless exterior, but a heart willing to open itself to my touch. Therefore, do not be afraid of the days when you can only move slowly. Do not be ashamed when your faith is no longer loud as it once was, but has become quieter, deeper, and more genuine. A tree does not grow through noise, but through roots that silently reach deep into the soil. Your soul is the same. The seasons unseen by others may be the very seasons in which I establish your roots most firmly. The days without great signs may be the days I am building within you, a resilience no longer dependent on passing emotions. In time, you will realize that what I give you is not merely an answer to a single problem, but a life that knows how to rest in me. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. Isaiah 30:15. That strength does not shout to be recognized. It abides, it breathes steadily, it believes deeply, and it does not depart from the place where I have set you. So, my beloved, when everything around you is unclear, let your heart be clear in this one thing. I am still your Father. When you do not understand the path, understand the one who leads you. When you cannot yet see with your eyes, let your soul lean upon the promise. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe, for they do not build their lives upon the fragile evidence of circumstances, but upon my everlasting faithfulness. Return to me in simplicity. Sit within my presence without the need to say much. Allow me to love you right where you stand, and from that place, I will teach you how to take the next step. And one day, when the mist lifts, you will not only thank me because you received the answer, you will give thanks because in the absence of answers, you found something greater, me, my beloved child. Before you seek a great work to accomplish, before you hastily offer me a weighty promise, before you gather all your strength to prove that you are still faithful, I want you to hear this in the deepest place of your soul. I am seeking you, not your performance. When I ask whether you are still there, I do not ask as a judge demanding a flawless report. I ask as a father who bends down beside you, desiring to hear the honest voice of your heart respond. Even a single sincere reply can become a doorway into my presence. When Isaiah heard me ask, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" he did not present a grand plan, but answered, "Here am I, send me." Isaiah 6:28. Do you see that response did not begin from human completeness, but from a willingness before me. Therefore, do not despise a trembling "Here I am." If it rises from a true heart, I receive it as worship. There are silences in your life that are not my withdrawal, but my way of drawing you out of the false callings that have wearied your soul. The world continually presses you to become a certain image, to be faster, brighter, stronger, more recognized, more approved by others. But I did not create you to live as a vessel passed from hand to hand by every expectation. I created you to belong to me, so that your source would not flow from human praise or attention, but from the everlasting love of your Father. In returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. Isaiah 31:15. The stillness I give is not a cold emptiness, but the place where I restore order within you. There what is false falls away, and what is true is lifted up. What you borrowed from fear is removed, and what I placed within you from the beginning gradually comes into the light. I want you to remember Mary of Bethany, who sat at the feet of Jesus and listened to his word, while Martha was busy with many tasks and her heart was divided. Martha was not wrong for serving, yet she grew weary because she allowed her service to become a burden of proving. But Mary chose the one thing needed, and the Lord said that portion would not be taken from her. Luke 23:9-42. My beloved, there are times I am not calling you to do more, run more, or strive more, but to sit near me. Not because I disregard your responsibilities, but because I know that if you are not nourished in my presence, even good things can drain you. When you pause before me, you are not wasting time. You are returning your soul to its proper source. When you stop chasing every outward call in order to hear my voice within, you are not becoming passive. You are becoming guided. So do not call this stillness a punishment any longer. You may have thought that if I loved you, I would make everything move faster, give you more signs, open more doors, place you among greater crowds. But my love is not always expressed through outward increase. Often it is revealed by drawing you away from overload to heal the parts within that have been neglected. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14 is not a word that weakens you, but one that frees you from the illusion that every victory must come from your own strain. There are battles I do not want you to enter in panic. I want you to stand in peace and witness my hand at work. There are doors that do not open because you strike harder, but open as you learn to trust more deeply. In that stillness, I am touching the layers you have worn for so long without realizing it. The layer of always needing to appear strong, the layer of fearing judgment, the layer of striving to be loved, the layer of standards that did not come from me, yet have quietly governed your heart. I do not accuse you for wearing them. I know you once needed them to protect yourself in seasons of misunderstanding, neglect, and hurt. But now I desire you to be freer. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 18:32. And that truth is not merely a doctrine to be known, but a light to be lived. The truth is that you do not need to become someone else in order to be loved by me. You do not need to hide your weakness for me to draw near. You do not need to construct a better version of yourself before stepping into my embrace. Each time you choose to be still instead of reacting in haste. Each time you return to me instead of running after the affirmation of others. Each time you allow your soul to breathe within my presence. An unseen thread of grace draws you closer to the true source of life. You may not see the change immediately, yet your roots are going deeper. You may not hear a loud echo, yet within you, something is being aligned to the rhythm of heaven. As it is written, "The Lord your God is in your midst. He will rejoice over you. He will quiet you with his love." Zephaniah 3:17. Consider this, my beloved. Even my love carries a sacred stillness, not because it lacks feeling, but because it is too deep to require display. I am with you, not only when you are strong, but also when you sit in silence and do not know what to say. So, my beloved, come to me just as you are. Do not wait until your prayers flow more smoothly. Do not wait until your heart no longer trembles. Do not wait until every question has been neatly arranged. Speak to me with the small truth you still hold. "Father, here I am." That alone is enough for me to begin deepening the relationship between us. From a single honest response, I can rebuild peace from a soul willing to remain. I can open new understanding from a silence that seems empty. I can cause living waters to rise, and you will continue forward. Not because you have grasped every answer, but because you know the one who holds you has never departed. I am with you in the stillness. I call your name in love, and I will lead you step by step, with just enough light, until your heart understands that resting in me is also a form of faith. My beloved child, when the rhythm of life around you rushes like a swift current, do not let your heart believe you are being left behind, simply because I am teaching you to walk more slowly. There are crowded paths that do not lead to life. There are lively calls that only exhaust the soul. There are races applauded by the world that ultimately cause you to forget who you are in me. I do not draw you away from haste to make you lesser than others, but to keep you from losing the most precious depth I have placed within you. As it is written, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 40:60-10. That stillness is not a wall that separates you from the future, but a doorway that brings you back to the true source of life. The world measures progress by speed, but I measure growth by depth, by the ability to remain in peace, by a heart no longer pulled in every direction by outward pressures. At times you may see others moving quickly, achieving much, opening doors you once desired, and within you a quiet question arises: am I moving too slowly? But hear this clearly: your timing is not determined by another's schedule. Every soul has its season of sowing, a season of watering, a hidden season of rooting beneath the soil, and a season of blooming in the light. If a seed out of envy for the flower forces itself upward too soon, it will not have the roots to stand against the wind. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarries, wait for it will surely come. Habakkuk 2:23. I have not forgotten what I have spoken over your life. I am protecting it from premature unfolding, so that when it comes, it will not only be beautiful for a moment, but enduring in grace. Remember John on the island of Patmos. In the eyes of the world, he was separated from the community, exiled to a barren place, set outside the flow of significant activity. Many might have thought his story had been reduced, his voice silenced, his mission interrupted. Yet in that very place of isolation, I opened to him profound revelations that noisy cities could not contain. On an island that seemed forgotten, he heard the voice of the Lord like a trumpet, saw the living one walking among the lampstands, and received revelation for the churches. Do you see what the world calls separation in my hands can become a place of deeper nearness? What others think is an ending, I can turn into a doorway of deeper sight. Therefore, when you are in a season few understand, with little applause and little outward movement, do not be afraid. It may be there that I am opening the eyes of your soul to see what a hurried life could never show you. I know that within you there are wearinesses so deep that you can no longer even name them. There are wounds that do not bleed outwardly, yet still cause you to shrink within. There are pressures you have carried for so long that you have come to believe they are simply part of who you are. That is why I do not come to you with noise that would only add to your confusion. I come with a gentleness that gives you the courage to open your heart. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you, not as the world gives. John 14:27. My peace is not a thin covering laid over chaos, but the hand of a Father placed into the hidden places to steady the rhythm of your soul. I do not only desire that you continue to exist, I desire that you live from a different source. Not from the fear of missing out, not from the need for recognition, not from the habit of striving, but from rest within my love. Therefore, when I invite you to pause, it is not a command of delay, but a call to healing. You have run long enough after standards I did not set. You have tried hard enough to become an image others would easily accept. You have hidden long enough the parts of you that felt weak for fear of being diminished. Now I'm calling you back to simplicity, to the place where you no longer need to wear the garment of artificial strength, where you can speak to me in full honesty. Father, I am tired, yet I still desire to remain near you, and I will not despise that prayer. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. The rest I give does not make you idle, but restores your strength in truth. It does not make you weak in the flesh, but makes you tender in my hands and steadfast before the storm. And in the days when the noise fades, you will begin to recognize what you once overlooked. Your heart was not created to beat in the rhythm of anxiety, but to move in harmony with mine. When you remain close to me, the life within you will gradually change its way of operating. You will no longer react hastily because of pressure. You will no longer define your worth by comparison. You will no longer interpret silence as failure. Instead, you will learn that there is a kind of strength that is born only in hidden places, where the soul is nourished by promise, where the heart is kept by grace, where each small act of faithfulness becomes a deep root for tomorrow. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 4:31. The eagle does not rise by frantic flapping, but by yielding to the current that lifts it at the appointed moment. So, my beloved, do not fear this separation. Do not regard these slower days as loss. Do not call a season of deep rooting a wasted time. I am restoring you to the rhythm of heaven, where you are no longer governed by the urgency of the world, but guided by eternal wisdom. Allow me to soften what has become rigid, to bind what has been wounded, to bring light to what has been dim, and to call you back to your true identity in me. When you learn to remain in my presence, you will step forward with a peace that is not easily shaken. And then, even as circumstances shift, even as the world continues to race, even as the voices around you grow louder, you will still walk steadily, because you are no longer moving to the rhythm of fear. You walk in the rhythm of your Father, and that rhythm will lead you to the right place, at the right time along a holy path that I have prepared for you from the beginning. My beloved child, allow me to lead you into a different rhythm, a rhythm the world does not easily understand, yet one in which heaven always moves. It is not the rhythm of haste, not the hurried steps chasing the noise of the crowd, nor a pursuit driven by the need to prove your worth. It is the rhythm of abiding, of trust refined in stillness, of a soul that knows it is not forgotten simply because nothing seems to move as the eye expects. A who believes will not be in haste. Isaiah 28:16. And I desire that word to become the breath within you, so you no longer see slowness as failure, but recognize it as the way I protect what is holy and growing within. There are seeds that must remain in the darkness of the soil to break open. There are streams that must run deep beneath the ground before they rise to the surface. There are lives that must be formed in hidden places before they can carry light without being consumed by it. So it is with you, my beloved. I do not hold you back to cause you to miss what is good, but to deepen you, so that you may carry that goodness with endurance. Therefore, when the sounds around you begin to quiet, do not hastily call it loss. When certain people drift from your rhythm, when familiar words of encouragement come less often, when doors of recognition seem to close for a time, do not let your heart be troubled as though I have withdrawn. I do not move away when the world grows silent. Often it is in that silence that I draw nearer still. I do not always speak with a voice that overwhelms, for I do not want you to be captivated by outward magnitude while missing inward healing. I come as a gentle breeze upon a weary soul, as oil upon wounds unseen, as a small yet steady light placed before your next step. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:118. So if your heart feels tender, if you sense your need for support, do not be ashamed. This is the very place where I draw near with a father's compassion. I desire to reshape how you understand stillness. For it is not always your circumstances that weigh you down, but often the way you hastily interpret them. You look at separation and call it abandonment. I look at separation and call it preparation. You look at silence and think it is absence. I look at silence and call it a sacred room, where you can hear more clearly. You look at being unnoticed and feel overlooked. I look at a place without an audience and see a heart being refined beyond the need for immediate reward. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Matthew 6:6. That reward is not only what I will reveal openly one day, but also the quiet transformation taking place even now. You become less dependent on praise, less fearful of misunderstanding, less driven to prove yourself, and more able to rest in what I have spoken over you. Remember Joseph, my beloved. Before he wore the garment of authority in Egypt, he passed through the pit, the house of strangers, and the prison seen through human eyes. Those years looked like bitter delay, like a destiny broken, like a promise forgotten in darkness. Yet I was at work in every stage. In Potiphar's house, I formed his faithfulness when no familiar support remained. In the prison, I refined his discernment when every opportunity seemed closed. And at the appointed time, in a single day, I brought him from confinement into the palace, not because I had suddenly remembered him, but because what I had quietly prepared had fully ripened. The Lord was with Joseph, even in the lowest place. Genesis 39:21. And I am with you in the places you think unseen. Do not fear seasons that resemble a prison, for the place where you are not allowed to rush out may be the very place where I place within you the wisdom needed, so that when you step forward, neither power, attention, nor success will lead you astray. I do not look for grand impressive responses from you. I am not drawn to loud declarations if your heart is distant. I have said, "These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." Matthew 15:8. Not to make you afraid, but to show you what I truly value. I do not require you to perform a perfect faith before me. I desire your authenticity, when all you can manage is a quiet whisper, "Father, I am still here." That is more precious than many great promises spoken out of anxiety. When you choose to remain, though you see no change to believe, though there is no outward evidence to resist. The urge to seek substitutes when your heart feels alone. Heaven recognizes within you a kind of faithfulness that cannot be bought by fleeting emotion. It is a faith born in the hidden place where there is no applause, no praise, no immediate reward. Yet I see it and I remember. Therefore, learn to walk slowly without shame, to listen without impatience, to remain without calling yourself weak. The one who abides in me is not stagnant. They are growing roots. The one who listens to me is not missing life. They are receiving direction from the source of life. The one who walks slowly with me is not falling behind those who run quickly. They are being freed from the haste that exhausts the soul. Abide in me and I in you. John 15:34. And that abiding is not a passing feeling, but a sacred way of living. You return to me in small decisions, in quiet thoughts, in moments when you are pressured to react, when you feel the need to prove yourself, when the world urges you to move faster. Each time you choose to remain, you allow my life to flow more deeply within you. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. And the day will come when you step forward, not as one carried by the current of the world, but as one who carries within a different river. Then you will not need to create noise, for your presence will carry the fragrance of the place where you have been with me. You will not need to run to prove you are not left behind, for each of your steps will bear the weight of peace. You will not need to compete for light, for the light I have placed within you will shine at the appointed time. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind. Philippians 4:7. And that peace will become the sign that you no longer operate under pressure, but through communion with me. My beloved, let me lead you neither too early nor too late. Never outside heaven's timing. I am within you to deepen you, beside you to steady you, and before you to make a way, and in every silence you once feared. You will learn what is more precious than all noise. I have never left you. My beloved child, let your heart rest in this. I am not delaying you because you lack value, nor am I keeping you in hidden places because I have forgotten what I have spoken over your life. I am doing a work deeper than what your eyes can measure. There are things that, if brought forth too soon would be shaken by the winds of life. There are lives that, if exposed to the light, before their foundation is secure, would be wearied, scattered, or lose their original purity under that very light. Therefore, I do not hurry. I am the one who knows the beginning and the end, who knows the day of sowing and the day of harvest, who knows when the roots are deep enough for the tree to rise. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. So do not let the urgency of the world define the sacred season I am leading you through. What is built to impress may appear quickly, but what is built to endure must be formed in wisdom, in patience, and in my hands. You may look around and see others moving forward, being recognized, having doors open, stepping into places your heart once longed for. But my child, do not compare your rhythm with their journey, for I do not write two souls with the same hand. What I have placed within you carries its own form, its own season, its own weight, and its own path of preparation. If you measure yourself by the speed of others, you will miss the beauty of the faithfulness I am forming within you. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Galatians 6:29. You are not being left behind simply because you have not yet seen results like others. You are being cultivated. You are not lesser because the light has not yet shone publicly upon your name. You are being established in a place only I see, and the place where I see is always the most important. For if you are secured before me, you will no longer tremble before people. Remember Esther, my beloved. She did not step into her position as queen in a single hurried moment. Before she stood before the king, she passed through a long season of preparation, anointing, care, and quiet arrangement unseen by many outside. Then, when the moment for her people came, Mordecai spoke a word that ignited destiny. Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Do you see? Her season of preparation was not meaningless. The months that seemed like waiting were actually positioning her for an hour when an entire nation would need her voice. I am doing the same within you. There are things you do not yet understand today, but tomorrow you will realize that I used every silence, every separation, every unnoticed season to place within you the composure, the wisdom, the gentleness, and the courage required for what I have appointed. Therefore, when this season feels slower than you expected, do not rush to escape it through other noise. Do not fill sacred silence with things that only distract your soul. There are spaces I create not to make you afraid, but to give you room to hear my voice again. There are doors I have not yet opened, not to disappoint you, but to keep you from stepping into places not yet appointed. There are people I have allowed to move away, not to leave you alone, but so you will stop leaning on their affirmation and begin to stand firmly in what I have spoken. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Psalm 30:77. That waiting is not empty inactivity. It is the place where your soul is reordered, where motives are purified, where faith no longer needs applause in order to remain faithful. I know there are times you long to be assured that you are not wrong for believing, not wrong for waiting, not wrong for continuing to walk in what I have placed within your heart. But I do not want you to live as one who constantly seeks the world to confirm what heaven has already spoken. When I establish you, you will no longer need to chase every gaze to know your worth. When I place authority within you, You will not need to raise your voice to be noticed. When I deepen your soul, your very presence will carry a weight of peace that words cannot imitate. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord of hosts. Zechariah 4:6. What I am forming within you does not come from the striving of the flesh, but from the quiet surrender of a heart willing to remain in my hands. Therefore, my beloved, allow this season to complete its work. Do not regard hiddenness as useless. Do not see slowing down as defeat. Do not interpret being unseen as being unloved. I am nearer to you than your feelings can perceive. And I am speaking more clearly than your ears sometimes recognize. I speak through the peace that returns after anxiety, through a scripture that suddenly comes alive at the right moment, through the patience growing within you, through the way you no longer react as before, through your ability to pause instead of rushing under pressure. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will guide you with my eye upon you. Psalm 32:8. You are not walking alone in this season. My eyes are upon you. My hand is holding you, and my purpose is still unfolding, even when the surface appears still. And when the appointed time comes, you will step forward different from the one who entered this season. You will not emerge as one desperate for recognition, but as one already called by the Father. You will not come out needing noise to feel your existence, but carrying the steadiness formed in the hidden place. You will not move in the haste of fear, but in the rhythm of one who knows they are sent at the right time. And then you will understand that no silence was wasted. No season of waiting was forgotten. No quiet day lay outside my plan. I have gathered them all, sanctified them, and woven them into the foundation for what you are to carry. Remain, my beloved. Listen. Respond to me with a true heart, for I am preparing you not only to step into the light, but to stand firm within that light, while keeping a heart that wholly belongs to me. My beloved child, there are things I do not speak with thunder, for I know your soul does not need to be overwhelmed. It needs to be drawn near. There are words that, if too loud, would only reach your ears. But my gentle calling passes through the defenses you have built, reaching the place where you are most weary, most real, and most in need of love. The world measures importance by volume, speed, and public display. But my kingdom often begins in what is small in the mustard seed, in the yeast that quietly leavens the whole dough, in a whisper soft enough that only a truly seeking heart will discern it. Therefore, when you do not hear a loud echo, do not assume that I am not speaking. I may be coming to you as a very gentle light, as a quiet peace, as a scripture that becomes alive in the very moment you feel empty. Hey, who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says. Revelation 2:7. And that ear is not merely of the body, but the listening of a soul that humbles itself before me. Pause for a moment, my beloved. Not because you have failed, but because I am inviting you into a depth that haste cannot reach. You have passed through many days of needing to respond, to endure, to appear strong, to keep everything under control, until even your breathing has taken on the rhythm of pressure. But you were not created to live as a soul constantly stretched thin. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. Isaiah 30:15. So when I call you to slow down, it is not the command of defeat, but an invitation back to the true source of strength. Let your breath remind you that you are still being held. Each inhale and exhale is not only a sign that your body lives, but also a testimony that I am sustaining you in what you cannot see. In me you live and move and have your being. You have never stepped outside my sight. Even on the days when your feelings tell you otherwise, I know the tears you have wiped away quickly, before anyone could notice. I know the pain you have named it's fine, just to keep standing. I know the cracks you have learned to cover with a smile, with business, with quiet reminders that you must be stronger still. But before me, you do not need to perform the role of one who never breaks. I do not come near to condemn your wounds, I come to touch them. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. Isaiah 4:2-23. And do you see? My gentleness does not despise your fragility. I do not extinguish the small light that remains. I shield it from the wind. I do not break what has already been hurt. I lift it with hands that heal. Your tears do not fall into empty space, for I gather them as something precious before me. There are prayers you have not yet spoken aloud, yet your tears have already spoken them. Remember Hannah, my beloved, the woman who entered the temple with a heavy heart. She did not have a loud prayer to earn the praise of others. Her lips moved silently while her soul poured itself out before me. Eli misunderstood her, thinking she was drunk, but I did not misunderstand her. I hear what people cannot hear. I see what people cannot see, and I receive the pain that others may easily judge. In that silent prayer, a future was planted from those quiet tears. Samuel was given a child who would one day hear my voice in the night and become a prophet to my people. O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your servant. 1 Samuel 1:11 was the cry of a soul no longer leaning on human recognition, but laying everything before me. So, my beloved, if others do not understand how you pray, do not perceive the depth of your pain, do not know what is being formed in your hidden places, do not be afraid. I understand, I hear, I am working in the place. No one else can enter on your behalf. There are wildernesses that are not places where I abandon you, but places where I remove the many voices that have come between you and me. When you are surrounded by too many sounds, you can mistake the need for comfort as guidance, confuse business with fruitfulness, and take human affirmation as my voice. But when I bring you into a place with fewer distractions, I am not isolating you in sorrow. I am restoring your heart to hear the rhythm of heaven. Therefore, behold, I will allure her, will bring her into the wilderness and speak to her heart. Hosea 2:14. I speak to your heart, not only to your mind. I comfort the deepest part of you, not merely explain to the most confused part of you. In the wilderness, the noise falls away. In the wilderness, you stop striving to become what others expect. In the wilderness, you begin to realize that belonging to me is more precious than being seen by the crowd. So, do not rush to fill every empty space. Do not grasp for noise simply because silence feels unfamiliar. Do not run back to what is familiar just to avoid facing your own heart. There are silences that are vessels I use to hold new oil. There are hours when no one calls your name, that I am calling you by your true name. There are moments when you no longer have strength to strive, that I can teach you to live by grace instead of exhausted effort. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Your weakness does not mean you are farther from me. Often it is in the moment you stop hiding. Stop pretending to be complete. Stop maintaining a facade of strength that you open a true doorway for me to come closer. I do not need a polished version of you. I love you in truth. And it is in that same truth that I heal you, and from those moments of pausing that seem so small, I will form within you a deeper life. You will learn to hear my voice, not only in long hours of prayer, but in the rhythm of your breathing, in the slowing of your steps, in the moments you choose peace instead of panic, in the quiet act of placing your hand upon your heart and remembering that you are being held. You will no longer see silence as an enemy, because you have encountered me there. You will no longer fear your own tears, because you will know that I can turn them into soil, where seeds take root. You will no longer despise the gentle whisper, because you will understand that the deepest things of heaven often arrive in the most tender form. Remain with me, my beloved. Let me speak to your heart. Let me touch what has grown dry, bind what has been broken, and rekindle what still smolders. As you learn to be fully present before me, you will come to realize this: I am not only near in moments of brightness, but I am profoundly near in every silence, every breath, every tear, every whisper that draws your soul back to the source of eternal life. My beloved child, before you think of carrying light far, allow me to teach you how to guard the flame in the deepest place within you. Many delight in the feeling of burning brightly for a moment, yet do not learn how to tend the oil through the long nights. Emotion may draw you near the altar for an hour, but it is faithfulness that keeps you there when the excitement subsides, when no one is watching. Therefore, I do not only touch your heart to stir emotion. I build within you a foundation that will sustain you. Guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life. Proverbs 4:23. This is not a rigid command, but a father's instruction to help you protect the very place from which life flows. If your heart is pulled in every direction by voices, by praise, by misunderstanding, by shifting emotions, then what I entrust to you will be drained away. But when your heart is kept in me, you begin to live from an inner source, no longer driven by outward pressure. I place boundaries in your life, not to diminish you, but to keep you from dissolving into what does not belong to you. Look at the river and learn. Water is not strong because it spreads everywhere, but because it is guided between its banks. The banks do not impoverish the river. They give it direction, strength, and a course that leads to the sea. So it is with your life. There are things I ask you to stop, places I do not allow you to enter, relationships I loosen, habits I touch and call you to release. Not because I desire to take away your joy, but because I know what causes your spirit to lose strength. All things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. 1 Corinthians 10:23. True freedom is not the ability to pursue everything, but the power to choose what draws you nearer to me. The one who cannot say no may believe they are open, yet they are often ruled by every passing desire. But the one I train learns to refuse what is not theirs, so they can preserve a wholehearted yes for what I have entrusted to them. Remember Daniel, my beloved. He was taken into Babylon, into a foreign culture where his name, his way of life, and even his sense of belonging were meant to be altered to human eyes. Eating the king's food might have seemed insignificant, hardly worth concern, but Daniel understood that small compromises today can blur identity tomorrow. Therefore, resolved in his heart that he would not defile himself. Daniel 1:8. Do you see? His holiness did not begin in the lion's den, It began at the table. Before he stood firm before kings, he had already stood firm in hidden choices. Before I revealed my power in moments of danger, I saw his faithfulness in unseen discipline. The small boundaries he kept in ordinary days became great strength in times of testing. So do not despise the decisions no one sees. Each time you choose what is pure instead of what is easy, what is right instead of what is convenient to remain with me, instead of following emotion, you are building a place strong enough for my glory to dwell. There are winds that will come against you, and I do not hide this from you. Winds of misunderstanding, winds of loneliness, winds of false words, winds of temptation to give up, winds of weariness when no one sees how much you have tried. Yet a flame sheltered in the hidden place will not easily be extinguished when the winds arise. I do not train you to live in tension, constantly afraid of being wrong, controlling every breath and anxiety. No, my beloved, what I teach you is not a rigid vigilance, but a gentle awareness that you are carrying something precious. When Jesus said, "Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation," Matthew 26:41, he was not calling his disciples into fear, but into a life of awareness, where the soul does not fall asleep in the hour, it must stand firm. Discipline in me is not cold. It is love shaped into endurance. It reminds you who you are when emotions shift, steadies your direction when the noise of life clouds your heart, and keeps you from trading what is eternal for momentary ease. I know the word training can trouble you, because you once thought it meant being forced, judged, or stripped of gentleness. But in my hands, training is grace given the form of order. God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. So where I establish order, peace finds a place to remain. I do not break you to use you. I shape you so you will not break when you carry something greater. I do not place principles before you as heavy stones, but as steps that allow you to ascend without slipping. A life without discipline may feel easy at first, but over time it scatters the soul. A life aligned with my sacred rhythm becomes clear, simple, and strong. You begin to know what to keep, what to release, what to avoid, and what to pursue. Therefore, do not rush to step forward while the foundation within you is still being built. Do not be eager to be entrusted with more while I am teaching you to keep the small things with purity. He who is faithful in very little is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. I see your faithfulness, not only in what others can observe, but in how you guard your eyes, your words, your time, your relationships, your thoughts. When you allow me to bring order to the places that were once disordered, you do not lose freedom. You are freed from the unseen forces that once pulled you away. When you accept the boundaries I set, you are not diminished. You are made focused. When you learn to live with intention, you do not become rigid. You become a vessel pure enough that new oil will not be mixed with what defiles. Remember, what I entrust to you is holy, and what is holy requires one who knows how to guard it. The cost of holiness is not a burden meant to exhaust you, but a path that makes you fit to carry what you have been given. I do not ask you to discipline yourself by your own strength and then leave you under harsh demands. I walk with you in each small decision, reminding you when you begin to drift, lifting you when you are weak, forgiving you when you return, and continuing to teach you with the patience of a father. And in time when I send you out, you will not strive to preserve what I have entrusted with anxious effort. because you yourself will have been formed into one who can carry it in peace. You will walk not by unstable emotions, but upon a foundation laid deep in me. And when the winds blow, you will stand. When the noise rises, you will still hear. When trials come, you will keep the flame. For I have taught you not only to receive what is holy, but to live as one who guards what is holy in love, in order, and in enduring faithfulness. My beloved child, there are things I place within your heart, not for you to immediately bring before others, but for you to hold in prayer until they are fully ripened in my light. Not every spiritual impression must be spoken at once. Not every burden within your soul must become an explanation before people. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go, through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. And not everything you know has been given for public declaration. There are seeds that, if exposed too early, will dry out before they take root. There are visions that, if shared, while still immature, can be wounded by the doubts of others. There are sacred matters that must remain in the hidden place until I say, "Now is the time." Therefore, learn the wisdom of a guarded mouth, not out of fear, but out of reverence for me. Whoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from trouble. Proverbs 21:23. This does not teach you to withdraw in suspicion, but to understand that words are a doorway when opened prematurely. What is precious within can be disturbed by the winds outside. I know there are times when you want to speak in order to be understood, to share in order to be affirmed, to express so that others may see what I am doing in you. But my child, not everything I do within you requires an immediate witness. There are seasons when I desire to be the first to hear, the only one to hold, the one who quietly nurtures what I have begun in you. When Mary received the message of the angel, when wonders surrounded the birth of the Holy Child, she did not rush to turn everything into words before the crowd. The scripture says that Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. Luke 20:19. Learn from that sacred hiddenness. She did not diminish what was revealed, but she understood that some things belong first to the heart before they belong to the lips. There are truths that must be cradled in quiet obedience, so that in their appointed time, your life itself will testify more powerfully than your words ever could. Silence at the right time is not weakness, nor is it a lack of faith. It is the mark of a soul that has learned to discern between pressure and guidance. The enemy is not threatened by loud voices without roots. It is unsettled by one who prays more than they display, who waits more than they reveal, who places burdens before me, rather than scattering them into conversations devoid of grace. When you speak too much before the appointed time, the strength of what I have entrusted can be dispersed through explanation, debate, defense, and the craving for others' reactions. But when you learn to keep what is holy within me, it is not drained. It is concentrated, deepened, and protected from hands not yet permitted to touch it. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. Proverbs 25:11. Meaning that words carry beauty when they are given at the right time, in the right spirit, from the right source, and for the right purpose. Remember Nehemiah, my beloved, when he heard that the walls of Jerusalem lay in ruins. His heart was heavy. Yet he did not rush to speak to others out of unprocessed emotion. He wept, fasted, and prayed before me. And even when he came to the city, he quietly went out at night to examine the walls, without immediately declaring what I had placed in his heart. The scripture says, he had not yet told anyone what God had put in his heart to do for Jerusalem. Nehemiah 20:12. Only at the appointed time did he rise and call the people to rebuild. Do you see? Hiddenness does not weaken a calling. It allows it to be born in clarity, because he prayed before he proclaimed, observed before he acted, guarded his heart before he spoke. When his words finally came forth, they carried the weight of guidance, not merely the heat of emotion. My beloved child, remember that what I have placed within you is not an inert object to be set aside and forgotten, but a living seed, a sacred flame, a flowing source that must be guarded with a gentle awareness. I do not entrust you with the responsibility of guarding it to make you live in fear, constantly anxious about losing something, but so that you may grow into the maturity of one who knows they carry something of heaven. A mature soul does not surrender itself to every passing wind. It discerns what to receive, what to retain, what to refuse, and what to lay before me. Guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life. Proverbs 4:23. Your heart is soil, and every word you hear, every sight you take in, every hour you spend becomes a seed quietly sown within it. Some seeds give rise to peace, others to anxiety. Some nurture faith, others incline the heart toward fear. Therefore, I teach you to guard, not to narrow your life, but to protect your harvest. There are words that enter your ears lightly, seeming insignificant. Yet, if you allow them to remain, they will find their way into your thoughts, then into your emotions, and eventually shape how you respond to life. A complaint repeated often enough can cause your heart to forget gratitude. A doubt heard too frequently can dim your sight of my promise. A bitter voice, if it becomes familiar, you can train your soul to interpret everything through wounds instead of through light. But I desire that your hearing be made holy, able to discern what carries life. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Christ. Romans 10:17. So do not only ask how much you have heard, ask whether what you hear is drawing you nearer to me or further away. Whether it is making your heart lighter or heavier, whether it awakens trust or feeds unrest. Remember Israel standing at the edge of the promised land. I had brought them out of Egypt with power, parted the sea, sustained them with manna, and led them by cloud and fire. Yet when 10 spies returned with a fearful report, the whole assembly allowed those words to sow panic within them. They saw a good land, but they listened longer to fear than to promise. They forgot the one who delivered them, because their ears opened wide to unbelief. Only Joshua and Caleb carried a different spirit, daring to say, if the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land. Numbers 14:8. Do you see? The same land, the same circumstances. Yet 2 ways of hearing produce 2 different paths. Those who listen through fear will see giants greater than the promise. Those who listen through faith will see the promise greater than the giants. Therefore, my beloved, be careful about the voices you allow to define your future. There are times when you must deliberately step away from the noise that is wearing down your soul. Not because you are weak, but because you recognize you are carrying a treasure. Not because you do not love people, but because you understand that compassion does not mean allowing every negative thing to dwell in your mind. Test all things. Hold fast to what is good. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. There are conversations you must gently close in peace. Sources of information you must limit. Opinions you do not need to carry in your heart. Voices that must remain outside your door, because they were not sent to nurture what I have placed within you. I am not calling you to live closed off in suspicion, but to live with clarity and holiness. A gatekeeper does not hate guests. He simply understands that not everyone is permitted to enter the house. And my child, just as your ears must be guarded, your time must also be entrusted back to me with wisdom. Each morning you awaken is not merely another day, following the rhythm of the earth, but a portion of life I have placed into your hands. Time does not stand still, yet what you sow within it will remain. Some spend their days on things that leave them emptier, while others quietly invest each moment in prayer, learning, loving, serving, and healing. And in due season, their lives become a field bearing fruit. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Psalm 9:12. To number your days is not to live in fear of time slipping away, but to live with the awareness that each day carries value before me. You do not need to accomplish everything in one day. You need only to be faithful with what I have entrusted to that day. I do not look at your time as a harsh overseer, waiting for you to fail so I may judge you. I look as a father who desires to see what you will build with the gift I have given. There are hours you spend resting in me, and that is holy. There are hours you spend working faithfully, and that too is an offering. There are moments you give to listening to someone in pain, to forgiving, to learning what is right, to being still before me instead of rushing into noise. And all of it is seen in my light. Be very careful, then, how you live, not as unwise but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Ephesians 5:15-16. Making the most of time does not mean filling your schedule until your soul is exhausted. It means placing what matters in its proper place, making room for me, and not trading your precious hours for what only leaves confusion behind. The small things you do each day are quietly shaping who you will become tomorrow. A word you choose to hear, a thought you choose to entertain, an hour you choose to use, a habit you choose to keep. Each is like a small stone laid into a foundation. The world often notices only the great moments, but I see faithfulness in the smallest acts. He who is faithful in very little is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. When you turn away from a voice that darkens your heart, you are being faithful. When you choose my word over fear, you are being faithful. When you use your time to build rather than scatter yourself, you are being faithful. When you return to me after a weary day and say, Father, set my heart in order again, you are opening the door for grace to renew you. Therefore, my beloved, guard your ears like a watchman at the gate. Steward your time like a keeper of treasure, and tend your heart like a garden where I am sowing eternal things. Do not let negative voices become the background of your soul. Do not allow precious days to pass in unconscious distraction. simply because the world constantly seeks your attention. Choose what is good. Hold fast to what is pure. Listen to what nourishes faith, and use your time to build what does not perish. I am with you in every one of these choices. I do not require perfection in a single day, but I teach you to walk steadily step by step. And as you grow in this stewardship, you will move through the world without being shaped by it. Hear many voices yet still recognize mine. Live through many days without wasting the life I have given, for what I have placed within you is holy, and I will help you guard it until the day it bears fruit in its appointed season in my light.